know, I got some great dance moves myself. Check this out.
Oh man, you need help. You're embarrassing me.
You know, when I first saw that this was a PC exclusive Cars game, I got quite excited. And I really wish I hadn't. This is Cars Radiator Springs Adventures, exclusively made for Windows and Mac OS. Developed by AWE Games, or Games. It's actually the second game in the Cars game series. It was released on June 6th, 2006, the same day as the actual Cars video game and 3 days before the film had released. Which is incredible really, because both this and the actual Cars game are both set after the film, so you'd think they'd think about that before releasing it before the movie came out. Anyway, this game doesn't really have a story, it's just a collection of minigames, which, as you probably know, is not really my thing. Each minigame you complete unlocks a little race at the end, but we'll get to that later. So I'm just going to talk about the minigames in the order that I played them in, as there isn't actually a set order that you have to complete these in, which is completely fine. So first up I played Hip Hop It Up, which is a rhythm/memory game with Ramon. Now, I don't know if you remember the Ramon minigame in the main Cars series with Rhythm, that was fine. This is somehow, like, even worse than that. I don't know what the thought behind this one was. You can barely hear the music you're supposed to be dancing, in quotation marks, to, and it's just really boring, I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, you're probably gonna hear me say that quite a lot about a lot of these games, but what did we expect from a Cars PC exclusive minigame collection from 2006, right? Overall, there are 5 levels in this minigame, and they get progressively more difficult, and again, I use the term difficult very loosely. Now, one good thing that this minigame showcased to me straight away, being the first one I played, was that this game features the songs from the Cars video game, the licensed songs and the actual soundtrack as well. So that was a nice welcoming. It's just a shame that the actual game itself is kind of shit. Okay, so the next minigame I played is called Filler Up, which, again, is a memory game. Whenever a minigame collection rolls around and sadly falls into my hands, the most boring part of that experience is always the memory games. Is it because I have the memory of a goldfish? Yes. But also just because it's not very stimulating or exciting for the player. It's just match the symbols, press after me, and it's even more simplistic because it's a kids game. The box literally says ages 4 and up. I did get a bit of a laugh whilst playing this one though, because some of the cars that pulled in to like fill up with gas, they just clipped through the side of the actual structure and it just looked a bit goofy.
Let's get fired up.
But other than that, I don't really have much to say about this. Once again, there's 5 levels. In the top right, you will see a fuel gauge. This is in all the mini games, and if you mess up, that fuel gauge goes down. And that's kind of it. Until you win. Or lose. By the way, I don't hate all minigame collections. They can be fun. It's just a lot of the ones that I've ended up playing recently are just all dog shit. Anyway, so the next minigame I played was called Luigi's Fantastico Fun. Hey, at least this one broke up the gameplay of just memory games. So the plot goes as follows. Luigi's tyre shop is about to open and they haven't got the tyres ready, so Guido has to go in and catch the tyres that Luigi throws down to him and then stack them up. The way this works is Guido just follows your mouse on the screen, and then when the tyres fall down you have to position yourself underneath them and hold the mouse button until the tyre is firmly within Guido's grasp. To be honest, the only issue I had with this game was just getting used to the movement of Guido, because the resolution of the game on my PC at the time was definitely not even 720, and it was quite hard to navigate him around and make sure he was positioned correctly underneath the tyres. But once we moved past that small obstacle, everything was fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with this minigame, it just kind of overstays its welcome. You find the levels drag on a little bit too long, and again there are 5 of them, so by the time you finish the 5th one, you are very glad it's over. Okay, so next up we played Radiator Springs Curios, which is another memory game.
No. Wait.
Oh my god, please just make it stop. This one is slightly different to the other 2 at least. You just look at all these postcards and posters in Lizzie's shop, and then she removes them and you just have to remember where they go. It's not as difficult as it sounds because the game still has the outlines of the things, so you can see where the big circle poster goes, where the big square ones go. It only gets a little bit harder when you get to like level 4 and 5 when there's a bunch of posters that are the same size that you kind of have to figure out where they go. But to be honest, you can just complete those levels with trial and error. It's really not that difficult. Once again, completing the minigame unlocks you an extra race at the end, except this one is with Lizzie, which already makes it a completely ridiculous race that you know damn well that you're going to win. It always makes me laugh when they put Lizzie in these games because it's just completely unfair to her against everyone else because it's such an old car that there's no way that she's going to be able to compete. And yet somehow they make her so ridiculously fast, it just looks ridiculous. Okay, so next up I played Doc's Tune-Up, which is a game that actually reminded me that he is a racer as well as an actual doctor that performs surgery on cars. Again, I'll give credit to this one just for not being a memory game. You just have to drag little nuts and bolts through a pipe and just make sure you don't touch the edges of the pipe. There'll be certain obstacles in your way, like screws coming down or little bits of oil dripping in, but it's fairly easy, to be honest. I really don't have that much to say about this one because I think I completed the whole minigame in about 3 minutes, so there wasn't much time to process what was going on. If you touch the sides, the fuel gauge falls down, and then you have to restart that particular segment again, but other than that, there's not really any challenge to this minigame whatsoever. Once you complete this minigame, you unlock a race against Doc at the end, which is also a welcome bonus and a bit more fair than racing against Lizzie. So the next minigame I played is with my favourite character, Mater. This one is called Toe the Line, and I was actually quite surprised that this is in the game. It kind of has the Slither.io vibes that we have of today, but also really Mater is practicing his towing for actual work and decides to tow all his cousins around the yard, and you just progressively have to collect more hooks and more boxes and just drag them around the yard, and that's kind of it. There's no clear objective set for each level as to how many of those cards you need to collect, so you'll be on a roll and randomly it will just stop and move on to the next one. Then you'll start the next one with more cars, and then magically you'll need to collect like 15. There's no clear goal, really. You lose health or fuel if you hit something, and also when you hit something it restarts that level, which is just very annoying. It's also broken up by Mater speaking, but like the same set 3 phrases, and it gets really frustrating really fast.
Alrighty then!
Completing this one unlocks the Legends race against Mater, which again isn't a particularly fair race, but that's fine. Okay, so next up we had Sarge's Boot Camp, which is a really watered down, crap version of the boot camp from the actual main video game. The only good thing about this is that it still has the slapping soundtrack from the video game, but other than that, this has like no redeeming features. The game is again split up into 5 levels, and at the end of each level, Sarge just tells you that you're not good enough until you finally reach the last one. The game is controlled again just by cursor. You move lightning around and you can occasionally click to jump over stuff. Not everything though, because if you crash into it, then you lose health. Some of the stuff is too tall to jump over. That's pretty much it. It feels really slow until like the last level where it finally starts to feel like a normal speed. And then when you complete all 5 levels, you unlock the Legends race for Sarge. That's it. That's the whole minigame.
Let's move it.
Okay, so next up we have Tractor Roundup, which is another minigame featuring my favourite character, Mater. Now, the tractor tipping in the actual Cars games is sometimes a nice break from the racing. It has some cool stealth sections. It's just something different. This does not feature stealth at all. It's just crap. It doesn't even work properly, to be honest. This is probably my least favourite minigame, even compared to the memory games. You control either Mater or Lightning with your cursor, and then you also have to click on the tractor, and it kind of produces a circle while Mater blows his horn or Lightning revs, and the tractor tips. The issue is, half of the time, if you're not even directly in the centre of the circle, it will not register, and the tractor just hit into you, and you had to restart the level. This was the only one that actually caused me any kind of challenge, and it wasn't because it was actually challenging, it's just because it's broken. If you're going to play tractor tipping, just do it in the actual games. Don't bother playing this, or just the game overall, to be honest. Completing this actually unlocks the most ridiculous Legends race across them all. You have to race a tractor, which is just ridiculous. They could have just added a different character, they just put in a tractor. Why is Lightning drag racing a tractor? Knows. Okay, so next up we had Drive In and Out, which is slightly different at least. It's actually like a maze puzzle kind of game. The plot of this one is just ridiculous. Lightning goes to the drive-through cinema and then wants to meet Mater afterwards and just gets stuck in traffic. And you just have to move the cars with your cursor so that Lightning can have a path out to go and meet everyone's favourite tow truck. While you're playing, the game claims you don't have much time, so move the cars whilst you can, but then it doesn't actually count down. The game just counts up to tell you how long you've actually taken, so there's no sense of urgency really whatsoever. This game is notable for being the only activity that Mac appears in, and also when Lightning enters to watch the film he's watching is called Toy Car Story, so that's kind of cool, I guess. After you complete this, you unlock the Legends race for Sheriff, which seems like a bit of a weird minigame to put him on, but you'll see why when we get to his other game. Okay, so for the final activity that I played before reaching the Legends races, this is Speed Trap, which is similar design to that Snot Rod race minigame that's in the DS minigame collection, except this time you're playing as the Sheriff chasing the delinquent racers instead. The game confirms that Sheriff is faster than all the racers in this minigame, so all you really have to do is just avoid the obstacles while Sheriff catches up to each racer as you go, and then as soon as he gets near them, the game just automatically controls it for you and pulls them to the side, and Mater tows them away. Now, when I started, I thought, oh, this is weird, perhaps this will be the only minigame that has 4 levels, because there's only 4 of the races. No, level 5 comes along and you have to chase down Chick Hicks. This one goes on for a little bit longer, because he pulls away from you just as you catch up, but then when you do eventually reach him, Chick Hicks gets f***ing arrested, which is just the funniest thing. And once you've managed that, you've unlocked the Legends race for Chick Hicks, which is the final of the 10 races. There is also a secret minigame that you can unlock by pressing F12 from the menu and typing in the code that I've put on the screen now. I'm not going to talk about this one for spoilers, but you guys look it up or play the game and unlock it that way. It's nothing exciting, I'll put it that way, so it's not even worth talking about. Anyway, that finally takes us to the Legends races, which I thought, oh, finally, something interesting that's going to happen in this game, some actual racing. No, it's basically just another minigame, repeated 10 times. Each one literally takes about 15 seconds, if not less than that. The only thing you control in this race is shifting McQueen's gears, and to do that, a gauge on the screen, as soon as it points to green, just click, and then you just keep driving. There's nothing really to say about these races. The backgrounds look wacky as fuck with the cars' models on front of them. It just all looks a bit off, to be honest with you. I mean, it was nice to have some actual racing in the game, but it's not really actual racing, it's just another mini-game. Anyway, once you've done these 10 races, you've pretty much beaten the game. The only other thing you can really do now is go back and beat your previous high scores on the minigames, and then you unlock some paint jobs for Lightning McQueen, which have carried across from the Cars video game. Other than that, there's a few movie clips that you can now go and watch, and that is pretty much it. That's the entire game. So if you're just going to play the minigames and do the races, you can complete this game in literally an hour. If you're going for 100% to get the paint jobs as well, you can do it in about an hour and a half, maybe just shy of 2 hours, depending on how difficult the records you've set yourself to beat are. But I do just want to say that this game, for the whole hour and a half experience you get, costs £16 to buy on Steam. I wouldn't even advise buying this game in a Steam sale like I did. I think it was about £4. It's still not worth it. So that takes us to the end of our look at Cars Radiator Springs Adventures. Somehow this is still not the one I've hated the most. That record is still held by Cars 2 PSP, so at least it's not the worst one, but it's certainly not the best, so do not waste your money or time on this game. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As always, please like the video, don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next video.